for round 1, I actually fought what is up everybody, this is Joven from Glimpse. Recently I just joined the 204-man regionals in Singapore and I've managed to place first with Advent Ciel. So I'll be sharing my deck profiles and thoughts about the deck. So yeah, let's get right into it. So we'll start off with the material deck. So first we're running Spirit of Fire. It's a fire deck. Spirit of Fire, draw 7, really good. Level 1 Ciel, level 2 Ciel, and level 3 Ciel. So it's a deck that goes to level 3. You want to reach level 3 so that you can pull off the Oblation combo. Yeah, so that's one of the tricks of the deck. Continuing with the material deck, for the Divine Relic of choice, we have Lost Providence, Standard Steel Staff, the Maximum Armor, or what most people know as the Wardrobe, the Sword, Grande Sonore. Then moving on, we have Backup Charger, just your typical pay 3 draw 1. Tariff Ring. Tariff Ring just good into most matchups, especially aggros, decks that need to attack. It helps with buying a turn and whatnot, yeah. Then we have Orb of Sealing. Orb of Sealing it works well in the deck because sometimes you might have to omen other stuff where it will cause your Oblation to go lower in damage, but you can seal the lower cost omen card so that you can pull off the full combo at a higher damage. Then we have Chalice of Blood. In the event we're taking too much damage, at least we have Chalice of Blood to draw 2. And then Folded Shadows. So why Folded Shadows is because this deck runs, I'll come to it a bit, but we run Advent of the Stormcaller, which is a 15 cost. So when you omen it, it helps with reaching the 33 omen count, the cost count easily, and it helps with stalling the game to help you reach your win con. It gives you your champion spell shot and stealth, which is really good. So yeah, so that's the material deck. Moving on to the main deck, as this is a level 3 deck, we're running with 4 copies of Dungeon Guides. Not much explanation needed. Dungeon Guides helps you cheat from level 2 to 3, so it turbos you up to start playing the game faster. So yeah, Dungeon Guide. The draw engine of the deck, we have Liminal Guides and Library Witch. So 4 copies of each. Library Witch is just good for on death. It gets you 1 card back. It helps combo with certain cards in the deck, like where I'll come to it in a bit. Liminal Guide is just good as it's an ally and it helps with drawing 1 card when it comes back from the graveyard. Really good interaction most when you level up for level 3 decks, when you're leveling up most of the time. Next, the only floats in the deck, which are 4 copies of Stalwart Shieldmate. Why Shieldmate? It's because sometimes when you can't find cards to sack your own allies, you would rather have a taunt on board, so it helps with mitigating some damages that might come along the way. So Shieldmate is a really good ally or float of choice for me. Next, for the deck, we have more defensive part of the decks. We have 3 copies of Topsy Decree. Why defensive is because there's a lot of fractals and Seirus running around in the meta, so Topsy helps with just giving your champion spell shot, so it protects you from their finishing turn. Also, Topsy has the other 2 effects of discarding a card and then you can banish up to 2 of your choice. So this helps with dealing with those decks that need runs around with floats, or other decks that play Liminal Guides. For example, like Porter Diana that relies heavily on having floats in their graveyard. Level 3 decks that want to abuse Liminal Guides or floats to level up. This card answers that well as well. Next, another defense card, Crystalline Destinies, 1 copy, and 3 copy of Resolute Stands. Why I chose to only run 1 copy of Crystalline in the main and 3 Resolute Stands in the main is because in Singapore, it's more heavy on the aggro side of deck choices. So having more Resolute Stand makes more sense as the damage coming in usually are cheap damages and rarely 1 big burst. However, having that 1 Crystalline Destiny is good in case we bang into Seirus or Porter Diana that go for that full Cheshire Cat Ranger Strikes combo, which helps a lot. So there's 1 copy of Crystalline in the main. I actually run 1 more in the sideboard, so when I need it, I will side the extra 1 in. Next, we have Undeniable Truth and Turbocharge. So why Undeniable Truth in the deck is because this Undeniable Truth actually helps a lot when I'm facing against win decks, like which runs Stifling Traps. So in the event when I play my Dungeon Guide and they choose to Stifling Trap the Dungeon Guide, I can, on the Stifling Trap cast, I can Undeniable Truth the Dungeon Guide to let the Dungeon Guide resolve so that I do not waste a turn trying to level up. So this helps with that, and it's also another card that helps with the Liminal Guide turn 1 combo, where if you do not have a Shieldmate or Library Witch and you only have 7 card hand, Undeniable Truth and Liminal Guide works very well. As for Turbocharge, is 1 copy to use for the power cell that you will get with your backup charger. Moving on to the fire cards, which is the engine of the deck. You run 4 copies of Creative Shock. So yeah, you just draw 2, drop 1 goods. It helps with cycling your deck, dropping Liminal Guides and Shieldmates into your graveyard to use the float or the Liminal effect, which is what most fire level 3 decks wants to do to level up efficiently and whatnot. Other than that, it's just more digging to your deck to find your win con earlier. Next, 4 copies of Cremation Ritual. So Cremation Ritual is an ally. Then you draw 2 cards, so it combos well with Shieldmate when you're going first, 7 card hands. Just nice, you can play the Stalwart Shieldmate or Library Witch, and then Cremation Ritual the ally to either draw 2 and have a float in your graveyard with Shieldmate, or draw 3 if you Cremation Ritual the Library Witch, which helps with your influence and digging deeper into your deck. Next, 4 copies of Hasty Messengers. So Hasty Messenger is just a very good ally that you can play and swing for you to discard and draw a card. It helps dig deeper into your deck, and it forces your opponent to not ignore it and try to clear it, so which in that sense helps you protect some life as well. With Hasty on the board, your opponents are more inclined to clear the Hasty than to push damage to your face, as they do not want you to abuse the effect and get more value off of it even further. We have 3 copies of Reduced to Ash. Reduced to Ash helps with dealing with cards like Censor or Orb of Sealing if your opponent runs Sealing to stop your combo. So yeah, Reduced to Ash is just a fast speed spell that helps you deal with 0 cost regardless. However, personally, after playing 8 rounds in the regionals, I would have much rather it be Verucan Acolyte, as I would rather have another ally, and the Verucan Acolyte would probably help me more with dealing with Water Diana, as it isn't a spell and it can destroy their weapon. Yeah. Next cards, we have 3 copies of Devastating Blow. So D-Blow is one of your win cons in the deck, with the Omen mechanism in the game, where you can actually, when you have 5 or more Omens, you get a +3. With Devastating Blow, that is an easy 10 damage just with 1 card, which is one of your main damage dealing options in the game for this deck. So D-Blow is one of your win con. It also helps with dealing with allies like the Majestic Spirit, where they can't retaliate you, so you don't have to take the extra 4 damage as well. And last but not least, for the fire cards, we have 4 copies of Field Awakening. So Field Awakening is also one of the endgame, your endgame finishers in the deck, where with the full combo of Field into end step, you can put the Field into your Omen. In the end step, you can crack your Lost Providence and Maximum Armor, so that you can reuse the Field again. And then if you have another Field in your Omen, you can just Lineage Release if you have 6 or more Omens to do a total of 16 damage with that full combo. So it's one of your endgame finishers as well. Next, for the advanced elements, we have 2 copies of Cutters. So this Cutter is for you to deal with whiteboard decks like Wind Allies, Wind Wake Up, Fire Aggro, or any decks that generally likes to place allies on board. So this helps you with surviving, as it has the effect of every time an ally dies, you recover 1, and with the class bonus Cleave, as you are a Guardian, this helps with the board clearing. Then the fun part of the deck, we run 4 copies of Baleful Oblation. So this Baleful Oblation is run because of this card, Advent of the Stormcaller. So the idea of this deck is to put Advent of the Stormcaller in your Omen. Then when you cast Baleful Oblation, if Advent is your lowest cost, or if Advent is your only Omen, so it will be your lowest cost. When you cast Baleful Oblation, it will be coming in for 15 damage to the whole board. And what's really nice about it is that even though it's a Guardian spell, it's not target, so they can't spell Shroud Baleful Oblation, so they can only prevent it with stuff like Crystalline Destiny, Veiling Breeze and whatnot. So yeah, so that is the name of the deck. Fire Umbra, Oblation Seal, Advent of the Stormcaller. Then for the last two cards of the deck, we have one copy of Abnegation. This is just a cheeky Umbra card that heals you 8 and combos really well with this card, Umbra Sight. So Umbra Sight helps you draw two cards, one for 2 cards, and it's with Umbra Sight in your Omen, Abnegation heals you for 10 because it has this effect of recover 8 plus X, where X is the amount of curse cards in your champion lineage. So X is twice the amount of curse cards in your champion lineage, so you'll be healing for 10 if you have Umbra Sight in your lineage. So it helps you with surviving aggro onslaughts or games that go a bit too long when you need just a little bit more health to go for your win con. So yeah, that is the main deck. Now we will be moving on to the sideboard, and I'll explain why I picked these cards in the sideboard and how I would probably run it differently moving forward if I were to continue playing this deck. Okay, so first we have 2 copies of Staggering Strike. So Staggering Strike is just for me to deal with the Tristan matchups, as you want to disrupt their gameplay of reaching the 4 prep for their level 2 to draw 2. So if you Staggering Strike the Tristan early game, you actually slow them down a lot, which helps you not let them reach level 3 earlier to go for their game, and it helps you with dragging the game out to reach your win con easier. Next, we have the extra copy of Crystalline Destiny and Abnegation. So in certain matchups where damages aren't small and damage are very tall, like Arcane Blast from Seiryu, Fireball from Merlin's, Shadow Strike from Tristan, you will want to have Crystalline Destiny. It helps with blocking out the whole damage, so that's why you bring in the second copy. And for Abnegation, it's just when you need more healing, so that's why the second copy is in the sideboard to side it in when you need it. Next, we have 3 copies of Flame Breath Call. So Flame Breath Call is a card that says that deal 3 damage up to 2 target allies. So this is actually really strong into aggro ally matchups, where in Singapore there's quite a bit of fire aggro running around, wind wake ups and whatnot. So this effectively helps you clear two allies on the board, and then you can play that fast speed on your opponent's turn. Then you can use the 5 cards you put in memory to help you level up and progress with your game plan. So really good card to help clear the board, because this deck doesn't have much allies in the early game to contest board. So yeah. Next, we have 2 copies of Nocturne Oblivions. So Nocturne Oblivion, why it's in the deck is Reduced to Ash can't really touch cards that are not they are 1 cost and above. So Nocturne Oblivion answers that aspect of the game, where if you need to deal with bigger Regalia cost items, or even dealing with stuff like the Majestic Spirit, this Nocturne Oblivion is a clean answer to that card as well. Next, we have 2 copies of Regal Inquisition. Why 2 and not 3 is because I was trying to find more space in the sideboard to add in other things, but usually people run 3. Regal Inquisition is most of the time used for me. When I use it, when I play Regal Inquisition, I will use it to look at my opponent's hand, remove their defenses, then I will go for a game there. So it makes my opponent have to react to this card activation and have to play the defense before I even commit my offense. So yeah. And it's really good into Xander, where you Regal Inquisition, their whole like all their Lightweaver assaults, Luxem sides. That's how you get the win in against Regal into Luxem as Ciel. Next up, we have 2 copies of Announce Spell. Why Announce Spell is because I want something that answers spells as a negate. So as a fire deck, you don't really have much negates option, so Announce Spell is pretty good. It answers stuff like Arcane Blast, Crystalline Destiny. It's basically any spells that you want to stop. Announce Spell is one of the answers to stop them, forcing your opponent to put more cards down so that you can play other cards more comfortably. And it's also good against when your opponent tries to play defensive spells into you. Announce Spells helps you stop that. And last but not least, 2 copies of Heavenly Guide. So Heavenly Guide, in my run in Singapore Regionals, I actually did not really manage to side in this Heavenly Guide, as I've noticed that most of the time I would want to be the one rushing to level 3 before my opponent does. So end up it actually set in my sideboard. It was probably one of the cards I would change out moving forward if I were to continue playing this deck, exploring options with other cards such as like Spiriel and whatnot if I were to ever play this deck again. So yeah, so that it is for the Ciel deck profile. Just want to share some thoughts with you guys on my matchups and whatnot. Okay, so for the matchups I faced in the regionals, round 1 I actually paired into Firecrux Lorraine. The matchup, to me, I felt that Oblation Ciel was favored, as I really just needed to do my own game plan, and then with Oblation or even Devastating Blow Field Awakening, I could take them out before they even reach their win con. So yeah, so round 1 I won 2-0 into Fire Lorraine. Round 2 I fought into Wind Tristan. Yeah, so Wind Shadow Strike Tristan. Wind Shadow Strike Tristan, the matchup, I honestly feel it's favored for Ciel, as you don't really have much to worry about. Even if they try to incap you, you have stuff like Field Awakening to stop the negate. As Phil says, it negates the whole cards can't be negated this turn. So what more, I play Folded Shadows in the deck, and it helps with if they don't run Zephyr or Nocturne Oblivion, actually you easily take game 1. Then in game 2 you probably just try to kill them as fast as you can. Especially as Ciel, you can deal with the shadows easily with your weapon, and 5 omens, you just swing for 7 and that's 1 shadow gone immediately. So against Tristan is not too much big of a deal. I won 2-0 in that match. Round 3 I actually fought into Fire Aggro Merlin. That was one of my hardest matchup, I felt. As Ciel, you don't really have much defenses in the deck for aggro except Resolute Stance, and if you don't see them, or if you don't see your Dungeon Guide to rush up to 3, it gets pretty scary. So I actually lost game 1, won game 2. Then when we moved to game 3, I actually won by a sliver. I was actually pushed to like 20 plus damage, close to losing, and I managed to squeeze the win out somehow with 4 Awakening and just my sword. Cause one thing about aggro is they either stay at spirit or they stay at level 1, which is at the max 19 or 20 health, which actually is not very of a far reach. So yeah, aggro is one of the hardest matchups. I managed to win 2-1, scrape by, got lucky. So yeah. Round 4, I paired into Win Seryu. I actually drew that matchup. The match, game 1, I couldn't find my win con. He was farming, he couldn't find his win con. Then it ended up the game dragging up to like almost 40 minutes, and he eventually won because he found his win con faster. So I realized the mistake I made in game 1 was I was too fixated on playing the Oblation game plan. So for game 2, I actually charge Omen early, push for damage as fast as possible with Devastating Blow, try to Field Awakening combo, try to bait out things like Topsy Decree, Innovate Agility, so that I don't waste my influence or resources when I Field Awakening to try and go for the game faster. However, it only managed to end up in a draw as we didn't have enough time. So ending after round 4, my score was 3 wins and 1 draw, 3-0-1. So moving to round 5. Round 5, I actually paired into Win Crux Lorraine. That matchup actually was pretty tough, as they are ally heavy decks, which once they have too much allies on board, stuff like Aeson Protector, Pendragons, and I don't see my Carter, I don't see my Flame Ref spell to clear the board. I actually was in a very big disadvantage. I lost game 1. Game 2, I managed to scrape through and won with D-Blow and Oblation. Then for game 3, my opponent actually made a mistake where he committed his hand during his pre-reg, which allows me to Field Awakening on his turn to go for a game, as I think I was 10 damage off. So the combo was to Field Awakening to put another Field into the Omen, where I could use the LP Lost Providence and the Maximum Armor to get the Field out of the Omen and do Field again for a total of 10 damage to go for game. So actually that match was really tight. I would not say it was easy. It was one of my harder matchups in the whole day of Swiss. So after that round, I won 2-1. I was 5-0-1. 4-0-1, yeah, after round 5. So round 6, I went against a very interesting deck, if you ask me, Fire Suited Nico. So Fire Suited Nico they usually play the Nico just for 8 water cards in the deck, which is I think Fracturize and Song of Frost. So most of the time we were staying at Spirit. So game 1 they open with cards like Arthur, Red Hair, then with their suited allies, the full combo. Actually, it's really painful. I couldn't do with it. I lost game 1 in I think about 5 minutes. So game 2 post sideboard, I actually brought in stuff like Flame Breath, my extra Crystallize, a now spell to stop any funny spells they might have, because I really did not know what the deck does. I managed to pull the win out in game 2 as I managed to put Oblation in early. I put Evan in early into my Omen and Oblate early once I reach level 3 to go for the game, as they are stuck at Spirit most of the time. Then in game 3 was a very back and forth game where I think I was pushed to like 25, 26 damage, and just because I have Resolute Stand to survive, that was what won me the game. My opponent also, I think, did not really play much against Ciel, so he made a mistake where he fracturized my wardrobe after I materialized it when my influence was really low, so I had no issue committing the full awakening to go for my Q turn. But in actual fact, if he actually went to fracturize my weapon, I would have lost the game. So it was I would say it's the lack of exposure to fighting Ciel was what made my opponent lost the game, and we actually discussed it afterwards after the game to see what both of us could have done better after round 6. So yeah, moving on to round 7, I actually fought against Paul, Ascent Taipei during DTR seasons, the champion. Initially I wanted to ID, but he said since we have nothing to lose, let's just play. So we play, and game 1 he won me cause I made a mistake. I misplayed. I put Resolute Stand in my memory. Did not expecting that he could have went for the Q turn the next turn. So the game 1 after I level up, put Resolute Stand in my memory, he actually went for the Seiryu command, Byakko command's full combo, which finished me off in 1 turn. So for game 2, I somewhat got a very smooth hand where I managed to put Evan in my Omen into reaching level 3. I Oblate early into Devastating Blow, so it was a high roll on my end. Part and parcels of card games. Then for game 3, the deciding match for round 7, I passed turn with 7 card hand with Lost Providence on board, so he actually went all in after I passed to him, where I had Crystalline Destiny and Annual Spell ready for the full combo, else I would have died. So it was I think he actually felt that he had to go for a game that turn, else he would have died next turn nonetheless. So which I actually took a more safer turn, where I decided to not go all in that turn and decide to just okay, I keep my whole end up, I pass it to him, see what he does. If he commits, good for me, I have my answers. If he didn't, then we will just play another turn. So yeah, so I won Paul 2-1. That was round 7. I went to round 8 with 6-0-1. So initially I wanted to ID after winning 5 games for my regionals run, but since I was 6-0-1, I decided to play on the last round to try and fight for the first place. So I fought into a friend, his name is Josh. He was playing Water Luxem Zender. So the match is, I would say, very 50-50. So in that matchup, actually, things can go either way. If I full combo him and he managed to survive, I will probably lose because he will have the tempo. However, if he overcommits into putting too much cards down at his recollection just to do the Zender effect, and I commit there to kill, I would have won. So it was a back and forth game, tight game. We actually I won 2-1. So and my friend end up placing second. Kudos to him. So game was tough. I wouldn't say Xander is an easy matchup at all. One of the hardest matchup I played the whole day. So yeah, overall, this regionals was quite a fun event for me lah. So actually went in the regionals not expecting much. I just wanted to hit platinum in Omni deck, so I was just trying to get some EP and whatnot. I was lucky with my matchups. I did not fight a single Fractals, a single Water Diana, so that was the matchup luck that helped me. One of the main factors that helped me went on my 7 wins and 1 draw run. Did I enjoy playing Evan Ciel? I would say yes. Previously I was always on Tristan, so something different, something refreshing really helps a lot. So yeah, once again, thank you guys for staying all the way in this video. Thanks a lot to Hideout for hosting the regionals in Singapore, and I'll see you in the next one.